Hey guys, Sheree here. I'm really excited to share with you how I created Phoebe's beautiful honey caramel balayage. You guys have gone absolutely nuts for this on Instagram, so I'm so excited to finally share with you how I achieved it and also share all of my formulas. So this is a 3-step color. The first step is creating the highlights and also the face framing. Our second step is adding the depth and the lowlights, which we hand paint into the hair. And our third step is our glossing and zone toning. So I'm going to share step 1 with you today. I love to pre-section when I'm coloring hair. I like to create a path of where I'm going. I find that this not only keeps me cleaner, but it also saves me time. So I'll always pre-section where I'm starting. So today I'm starting at the hairline. So I'll pre-section each side so I have a clear path of where I'm going. I've begun by using Flash Lift with Bonder inside and 10 Vol, which is absolutely delicious. It's so gentle on the hair, and because I'm using 10 Vol, it's just going to lift really slow and steady, which gives me time to work through the back of the head. So I'm using a fine to medium weave, and I am spacing them out a little bit because I don't want Phoebe to feel too blonde when she pulls it back. We are, after all, adding depth back into the hair, so we don't want our face frame to be too strong. So just keeping them spaced out, and our weaves are fine to medium. They're not too thick and they're not too back to back. So we repeat exactly the same on the other side, and because we've pre-sectioned, we know where we're going and we know that it's going to be even and consistent. And everything looks good with a Foxy Foil Me Foil, don't you think? It's so pretty. I'm obsessed with these foils. And I'm also using my Tint Me brush from Foil Me Foils, which I love because it's got a feathered tip, so it helps me to get really close at the root. So we're going to jump through to the back section now. So the reason I've chosen to go in and do highlights through Phoebe's hair, through the rest of the hair, even though we're going darker, is because I am going to be root shadowing it down, but I want to create a little bit of variation through her root area. I'm not trying to make her blonde, but I do want some variation that isn't just brunette, because sometimes, you know, when we go in with just a root shadow on hair that we're taking darker, we know that within 8 weeks time they're going to feel really, really dark. So I think by going in and just adding a few highlights, it softens it out, gives their color more longevity, and it also helps to keep their hair fresh so they don't feel like they have to wash it every single day. Once we've got those face frame highlights in, it's pretty quick through the rest of the hair with the foiling. So we're going to begin by sectioning the front from the back. So from the top of the hair to the back of the ear, we're pushing that hair forward and taking our section through the back, just a curve underneath the crown. And then we're going to take diagonal sections and work our way across the crown area. You can see that I am leaving plenty of hair in between because, again, as I said before, I'm not trying to make Phoebe blonde. I just want to break it up and give it some variation. Once we've got those crown highlights in, we can work our way straight up to the parting, and we are foiling just under the parting. So again, we're not trying to make Phoebe blonde. We just want to give it some dimension and break it up so that her roots are not going to get super, super oily. You guys know what it's like when you go from having highlights to all of a sudden just doing semis or glosses. You feel like your hair gets so oily and your blow dries don't last. So I think it is nice to go in and just break them up with a little bit of Flash Lift with Bonder Inside lightener. How gorgeous do those foils look when they're all in? All right, so that is step 1, guys. We've done our pre-lightening. Hey guys, this is a follow on from our last video, which was step 1. This is step 2, and this is where we add our low lighting, balayaging, and creating depth and dimension. So we're just going to pull our foils, our highlights up so we can get to all of the hair that's left out underneath. And we're going to begin by taking really visual sections. So we're looking at what color is already in the hair and thinking about which pieces we want to pick up to paint. We want to make sure these pieces are quite thick. We don't want them to be too fine, because if we paint fine low lights, what can happen is they can blend into the rest of the hair and just look really wishy-washy and murky. So we want to make sure our sections are big enough so that they have some strength to them and they don't just get lost in the rest of the hair. So we're just taking triangle sections and painting straight onto the hair with Redken Shades EQ Gloss. Now what's really important about this technique is that we're not fully saturating the whole strand of hair. If we were fully saturating it, it would look really stripy when we dried it off, and that's definitely what we don't want. So we are keeping to a balayage effect, exactly as you would if you were lightening the hair. We're not creating full saturation. We've still got pockets of lightness in the middle of that balayage section, and you can see as we work our way down and pull it through with our fingers, we are leaving some of those ends lighter, so the depth is not going all the way through right to the ends. Now I'm just using some foil to cover section by section, because if there is any excess colour left on the hair, it can transfer onto the dry hair that's being placed over the top of it. So I like to keep things really simple, really clean, so I pop some foil in between to keep my sectioning nice and clean. And again, I'm just visually picking up pieces. Now I want to make sure that these pieces are not all the same thickness, because if we keep this really uniform, it can look stripy or just not natural. So some pieces you'll find are taking thicker, some pieces I'm taking finer, and I'm also alternating using two colors. So I'm using a lighter color, which is a 7 level, and a darker color, which is a 5 level. So 2 levels of difference between the two tones. Now we're going to continue on through our foiled area using the same hand painting technique and adding depth back in between to some of those lightened pieces. Really important that our pieces are not the same, and we're making sure that we've got different variations of low lights. Using our two colors, but as we get more towards the very top layer, we'll end up just using our lightest color. So as I said, really using your own creativity and thinking about where you place your dark colors and where you place your light colors. We just keep working our way through the foils, but really important that we make sure we paint a deeper piece next to where our face frame starts, because this is going to give our face frame a lot more pop. Now this is one of my favorite parts. It's so fun to pull the foils out and have a look visually, because your color has processed and you can see where you've created your depth and lightness. Another thing when you're painting your low lights, guys, is to make sure that you're not using too much color on your brush. So you just want to be layering onto the hair and letting it absorb the shades EQ. You don't want your balayage pieces to be dripping with hair color. All right, guys, step 3. And now I bet as you're looking through Phoebe's hair, you can see all of that work that we've done by adding in the highlights and then adding back in the depth by hand painting. You can see it all coming together. Now it's time to finish it all off with a beautiful gloss and tone and root shadow, so making it really shiny. Now, again, I'm going to begin by sectioning the hair. I want the face frame to be my lightest part of the hair, so I remove that out of the way. And then I'm going to begin by painting my root shadow on, and I'm doing a level 7 on the root area. So we just want to add a little bit of depth to those highlights, but know that they're still going to shine through and give us some variation and dimension in tone through the root area. This just helps to keep the hair looking fresh so that she doesn't feel too grown out as the color starts to grow out. So once we've got the root area on, we're going to go in and tap our hairline. Now we are using a 9 level on the hairline. So we've done a 7 on the roots and a 9 on the hairline. And remember, we didn't go too heavy with the highlights around the face. So we've still got plenty of natural hair in between, which brings it all together. We've glossed through the ends at the back, but through the hairline, we've left those existing blonde ends as they are and just glossed them up with a blonde shampoo. I hope you guys like it. I'll drop the formulas into the comment below, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below and I'll answer all of them for you. But that is how I created Phoebe's beautiful dimensional honey caramel balayage. You can just see that face frame shining through. You can see our low lights shining through, and you can see that it doesn't look stripy because we've left the ends lighter. It just looks really delicious and shiny and healthy. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope I've answered all of the questions that you've been sending through to me, but if I haven't, please drop them in the comments below and I will definitely answer them for you. And if you have a hair friend who you think should watch this video, don't forget to tag them below.